There's a personal finance bestseller sitting on millions of American bookshelves right now, and if you have $1 million or more saved and you follow its withdrawal rate advice, here's what the math can do in our illustration. About 1.3 million cumulative real spending gap for the surviving spouse. Portfolio empty around year 17 or 18, one Social Security check instead of two, and a retirement that looked comfortable on paper suddenly becomes much more fragile. I'm going to name that book, walk you through the math, and give you the 5 retirement books I actually recommend to my clients with 7-figure portfolios, the ones built for the household you actually are. Hi, I'm Mark Fonville, Certified Financial Planner and CEO of Covenant Wealth Advisors in Richmond, Virginia. Our team helps retirees navigate exactly this, the gap between accumulating money and actually living off of it. So to make every recommendation concrete, I'm going to use a hypothetical couple throughout. So let's call them Tom and Karen Pemberton, both 65 with $2.1 million saved. Their numbers will show up in the math first and then in every book on the list. Now, let's get to the part that matters most, because this is where the withdrawal rate problem starts with the first book. So the book and really the broader framework I would be very careful about using as a retirement income guide is The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Now, and this is important, this is not me saying Ramsey is a bad person or that the book is useless. There is a real ingenuity to what Ramsey does on the debt side. If you're 32 years old with credit card debt and no emergency fund, Ramsey's baby steps can be extremely effective. The behavior part, that part actually works. But when that accumulation stage advice gets carried into retirement income planning, the math can break down very quickly. Ramsey Solutions has taught that if your investments grow at around 12% annually and inflation is around 4%, you could reasonably live off a 7 to 8% withdrawal rate. They also say there may be down years and that retirees should talk with a trusted advisor, which is good. But I want you to sit with that 8% number just for a second. So the 8% rule, wherever you've heard it, is the part that can get misapplied in distribution planning. And there's a second number in the withdrawal rate research that almost no one compares against it. And I'll show you why it matters in just a minute. Now, that second number is this. Bill Bengen, whose 1994 research became known as the 4% rule, has more recently discussed about 4.7% as a historical safe max under broader diversification assumptions. Morningstar's 2025 retirement income research uses 3.9% as its base case for retirees seeking steady inflation-adjusted withdrawals over 30 years with a 90% probability of success. So the 8% number is not just a little above mainstream withdrawal rate research. It is about 70% higher than Bengen's 4.7% number, and it is more than double Morningstar's 3.9% base case. Let me make this just really concrete for you, because this is the math I teased at the beginning. So you met Tom and Karen Pemberton at the top of the video, both 65, retiring this year with a combined $2.1 million portfolio and combined Social Security of about $58,000 a year. Their original target retirement income is around $130,000 a year. This is a hypothetical illustration, by the way. Tom and Karen are not real clients. I'm just simplifying returns to isolate one point. Withdrawal rate really matters. Under the 8% withdrawal idea, Tom looks at their $2.1 million portfolio and says, we can take $168,000 a year from the portfolio. Add their $58,000 of Social Security, and suddenly they think that they can support a $226,000 retirement lifestyle. That is where the planning risk starts. Their original goal was $130,000. The 8% rule does not just fund the goal, it makes the couple think they have room to spend $96,000 more than the lifestyle they originally planned. Now, Assume a simplified 4% real return, meaning 4% after inflation, and assume the portfolio withdrawals rise with inflation each year. No depression, no 2008 style crash, just a modest after inflation return and a withdrawal rate that is too high. On that path, the $2.1 million portfolio is depleted around year 17 or 18 of retirement. In our illustration, that is roughly age 82 or 83. Now add the second risk. One spouse usually outlives the other. If Tom dies around that point, and if their Social Security benefits were roughly equal, Karen does not keep both full checks. In this illustration, household Social Security can fall from about $58,000 to roughly the higher single benefit, about $29,000, and that would be the case anytime a spouse passes away. Now, Karen, in our illustration, still has 13 years to live, and if we measure the gap against their original $130,000 real household lifestyle target, not even the inflated $226,000 lifestyle the 8% rule made possible, she is short about $101,000 a year. $101,000 a year for 13 years is about $1.3 million of cumulative real spending gap before taxes and before adjusting for the fact that a one-person household may spend differently than a two-person household. Same couple, same portfolios, same Social Security, different withdrawal rule, completely different surviving spouse outcome. Now let's put the 3 withdrawal rate prescriptions side by side. So it's going to be the same Pemberton portfolio of $2.1 million, 8% withdraw, $168,000 a year from the portfolio. In our simplified illustration, the portfolio is depleted around 17 or 18 years. Bangin at 4.7%, $98,700 a year from the portfolio. Under the same simplified 4% real return path, the portfolio still has a meaningful balance at age 95. Now, Morningstar's 3.9% base case, it's $81,900 a year from the portfolio. Under the same simplified path, the portfolio has even more cushion at age 95. And the lower withdrawal gives the couple more room to absorb a bad early market or inflation shock. That's the gap a single rule of thumb can create. Same household, same portfolio, 3 different withdrawal numbers in 3 different retirements. And this is why the book list matters. One of the 5 books I'm going to recommend will sound like it contradicts this entire warning about withdrawal rates, and I'll tell you which one and why I still recommend it. By the way, drop your age, your current thinking on withdrawal rates, or which retirement book is on your shelf. I love seeing the feedback. Here is the framework that makes the book list make sense. There are 2 stages of money, and most personal finance books were written for one or the other. Stage 1 is accumulation. Pay off debt, build the emergency fund, build the index portfolio, max the 401k, compound for 30 years. The total money makeover, rich dad, poor dad, the simple path to wealth, the automatic millionaire, these are stage 1 books. Some are good for that stage, some are not, but none of them are sufficient as a retirement income plan for a couple who already has the money and now needs to live from it. Stage 2 is distribution. You already have the money, now the job is drawdown order, tax efficiency, sequence of return risk, longevity hedging, Social Security claiming, Medicare premiums, and not letting your own behavior wreck a portfolio that finally got to where it needed to be. So Perkins, Benz, Pfau, Housel, Gilbert, these authors have written stage 2 books. So if you're sitting with $1 million or more right now and you're within 5 years of retirement, you are a stage 2 reader. Treat the bookshelf accordingly. So now that the problem is clear, here are the 5 stage 2 books I actually recommend as the prescription for your phase of life. The first book on the list, and the one that sounds like it contradicts the conservative withdrawal rate discussion we just had, is Die with Zero by Bill Perkins, published in 2020. And I know the title sounds reckless, and if you took the title literally, it would be reckless, but that's not how to read it. So here's what so many people miss. The biggest planning mistake we see in our office is not always overspending. Very often, it is the opposite. It is the clients who are 70 years old, sitting on $2 million, eating at Applebee's because they are afraid of running out. The kids are grown, The trips they meant to take, still on the list. So Perkins' argument is simple. Money has a job. The job changes by decade. There is a window, usually your 60s and your healthy 70s, when you can convert dollars into experiences your future self will actually thank you for. He calls it the memory dividend. Now, for Tom and Karen, both 65, healthy kids, grown, this is the book that gives them permission to take the trip now, not at 80. You don't read it for the math. You read it for the permission to spend the money you worked 30 years to save. So this is the contradiction. Pfau and Benz, as you will learn, help protect Tom and Karen from running out. Perkins helps protect them from never using the money while they still have the health to enjoy it. So the second book, and probably the strongest current overview book for this demographic, is How to Retire by Christine Benz, published in September 2024. Benz is Morningstar's Director of Personal Finance and Retirement Planning, and the format is unique. She interviews 20 experts across 20 different retirement questions. Wade Pfau on retirement income style, David Blanchett on how spending changes through retirement, Bill Bernstein on portfolio cash flows, Laura Karstensen on relationships in late life, and then Jordan Grummett on regret, to name a few. If you only read one current book on this list, this is the one. It is the closest thing I know to a modern overview of what good retirement planning looks like for people like Tom and Karen who already have the money saved. For Tom and Karen, this is the one book they should both read this year. Number 3 is Retirement Planning Guidebook by Wade Pfau, and be sure to use the latest edition. Now, I'll be straight with you, this is a textbook. Pfau is a PhD, a CFA, and the founder of Retirement Researcher. The book is over 800 pages. You don't sit down and read it in a weekend, I can assure you. But if you want one resource that covers what we call RISA matrix, that's retirement income style awareness, the 4% rule, and updates to it, sequence of returns, risk, annuities, Medicare, Social Security taxation, even Roth conversion timing, and RIA withdrawal order or RMDs, qualified charitable distributions. It's all there. The current edition also gives more attention to effective marginal tax rate management. And let me translate that into just plain English. Sometimes an extra IRA withdrawal can cost you far more than a simple tax bracket chart would suggest, because Social Security taxation, Medicare premiums, capital gains brackets, and other moving pieces can all interact. It's a big reason that we fully integrate investment management with tax planning and retirement income planning at Covenant Wealth Advisors. And this is the book your advisor's advisor reads. Tom doesn't need to read it cover to cover. He needs the chapter on withdrawal sequencing and the chapter on Roth conversion timing. You probably won't read it cover to cover either. You don't have to. Use it as a reference for the topics that hit your situation. Now, stick with me. This next book is the one that catches almost everyone off guard. Number 4 is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, published in 2020. So here's why I put a behavior book on a retirement planning list. The problem at a $1 million plus portfolio value is almost never just the math. The math is solvable. The problem is us. The problem is the fear that makes a 68-year-old hold 80% in cash after a 12% market drop. The problem is the overconfidence that makes a 62-year-old put 90% of his portfolio in his old employer's stock because it has never let him down. The problem is the spouse who just cannot stop worrying about money even with $3 million or $5 million in the bank. That is why Housel belongs here. He helps solve the behavior risk that can turn a technically sound withdrawal plan into a bad-lived retirement. Housel doesn't give you a portfolio. He gives you the framework to notice when you are about to be the problem in your own retirement. This is the book that keeps Karen from going to 80% cash the next time the market drops 12%. If you only read 2 of these books, Die with Zero gives you permission, while Housel gives you self-awareness. Together, they cover most of what goes wrong in this stage of life that has really nothing to do with the spreadsheet. Now, the fifth book is the one most retirement finance YouTubers leave off this list, in my opinion, and it is a mistake to leave it off. Keys to a Successful Retirement by Fritz Gilbert, published in 2020, wouldn't you know it? The first 6 to 12 months of retirement can be surprisingly disruptive, not because of money, but because of identity. We see it all the time with clients at Covenant. You spent 40 years being defined by a job, now you're not. What replaces it? Gilbert walks through practical keys around the day one schedule, the relationship calibration with your spouse, the volunteer or consulting decision, the geography decision, and the question almost nobody asks early enough: what am I actually going to do with my time? It is the best plain English book I know on what to do with the time once the money is handled. Tom is retiring this year after a 35-year career. This is the book for the Monday mornings he hasn't planned for yet. So you read Pfau and Benz for the planning. You read Gilbert for the part the planning does not cover. So that's the recommend list. 5 books, different jobs, none of them on the airport bestseller table this month anyhow. And here's the thing. No book replaces a plan built around your own numbers. So if you're within 5 years of retirement with $1 million or more saved and you want to see how this math runs against your situation, not Tom and Karen's, there's a link in the description for a complimentary strategy session with our team. On that call, we'll walk you through the things that actually move the needle at your asset level. Roth conversion timing, withdrawal sequencing, IRMA exposure, Social Security timing, investment portfolio design, and survivor income risk. The whole point is to see if we're the right fit to help you retire with confidence. And if we're not, you'll still walk away with a clearer picture than you came in with. Because at the end of the day, your investments, your taxes, and your income all have to be planned together, not in 3 separate buckets, which we so often see. And if you want more videos like this, by the way, The Real Math, No Hype, just hit subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Mark Fonville, and I will see you on the next one.